15 Now What? Thank you for joining me on this great Tuesday. I'm Dr. Catherine Gilstein, and I'm looking forward to empowering you with information about financial literacy and economic empowerment. I will continue to post on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, but I will be adding to my podcast since I have such great interviews lined up. Today, I am joined by Jennifer Christensen, co-founder and CMO of Beacon Media Plus Marketing, and she's going to share with us ideas about digital marketing, digital strategy, and business growth. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining me. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me on. It's been an incredible journey. I love sharing it. It's information I wish I would have known, earlier in my journey. So to me, getting information out that can help other people that want to be entrepreneurs or that are looking at going that direction, I really love to share. I did come into the digital marketing world kind of an unusual way. Had a corporate sales background and got pulled into a job, about 15 years ago where I had to learn it, fell in love with it. And my co-founder and I started Beacon Media Marketing 13 years ago, a little over 13 years ago. We went from a small local agency to a national agency, and we've been on the Inc. 5000 list now for the last 2 years in a row. So one of the fastest growing agencies. Yeah, it's an incredible journey.
Nice.
So, but the beginning was the hardest part. Every time has its challenge, but I love to share with people. Hopefully, can provide some value and making their journey a little bit easier.
Absolutely. Talking about starting, and I have a lot of listeners that are in their 20s, but I'm also getting the parents of those listeners, which is really interesting. So that's kind of cool. So even if you're an older listener, and if you're thinking about starting something new, it's never too late to start. The key word is just start. But you had mentioned that in the beginning that there were definitely challenges.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. So can you share what was the biggest challenge that you found starting out, and what kind of tips can you give for those looking to start their entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I would just echo what you said. Two things. One, the average business owner in America that starts is like 44. So it is, of people starting businesses, we think of people in their early 20s, and certainly that's
Right.
a great thing. But yeah, I agree with you. Like if you really have a passion to do something, do it. And then the second thing is what you said is absolutely the most critical thing that I try to tell people. You don't know what you don't know. And we certainly did not. So basically, the key to really being successful for those first couple of years is understanding that. And once you understand, okay, I don't even know that I'm asking the right questions, I don't even know what the potential pitfalls are, then you can seek out people that have wisdom and mentorship that know more than you do. You never know where that, just cup of coffee with somebody that's in a similar industry is really going to help you. When we started 13 years ago, we started in Anchorage, Alaska, which I still am here now. My co-founder is in Nevada, and we have employees and clients all over. But in Anchorage, Alaska, 13 years ago, we didn't even realize that we wouldn't be able to find any staff that would be able to even do the work that we were selling. Like digital marketing was so new at the time, there was nobody in Anchorage that we could even hire. So again, we didn't know what we didn't know. And so we had to work during the day, figure out how to train them at night, train our staff to like do the stuff that we were learning on the fly as we were doing it. And
so kind of like a blessing and a curse all in one. Like you don't know what you don't know, but then again, there's nobody there in the market doing what you're doing. Yeah. So you're just bringing a whole new perspective to a whole new area. So that had to be really good. Okay, nice.
But what I definitely leaned into, so like we did try local sources like SBA and other things, and it just we're getting a lot of help there. And so I just started really following people online. I called people, I connected with them, I made relationships. So it's like
networking, so important.
And then I did have a group of amazing women entrepreneurs that we ended up connecting with and creating our own group. One of them even funded us in the beginning. Like we developed these relationships, even though they weren't specifically in our business, they were struggling with their own businesses too. They were learning, and so things they were learning, like let's say concerning payroll or concerning, HR or other things that we could all talk through those things together. Do not devalue, like so many people try to do everything on their own, and it is impossible to do that. You need
Yeah, you can't be an expert in everything, and you can know one aspect of the business, but you need somebody else that has a different perspective, a different take. Maybe they're better at the finance stuff, you're better at the sales stuff. Maybe they're, better at the social media stuff, you're better at the marketing stuff. So yeah, definitely know your strengths and know what your limitations are. And I think that's really important as an entrepreneur too. Know what your limitations are. You can only learn so much, but sometimes you do need to bring in a professional in that area.
But and with AI now, like there are things you can definitely have AI that can help you with your weaknesses for sure. The one caution I would say with that is, again, because you don't know the questions often, like you don't even know what to prompt or what to ask it. My suggestion for people is to use AI to really build on your current strengths. Still go to experts on areas that you don't have strengths on, at least to learn it enough to know what to ask AI. So you at least need to have some sort of guidance in, am I even getting the answer, right? Before you go totally down that road.
Okay, makes perfect sense. I did a couple of segments for AI in the workplace, using AI effectively, and AI isn't always correct. So you really need to like double check your facts there too. But starting out on your journey with Beacon Media and marketing, how did you know like when you were ready to launch?
Oh,
And I think that's kind of a lot of questions that I get. Like when I launched my business, like what did I do in the background before I started? So, how did you know you were ready to launch and start?
I think even that question is is a problem, because I think that we tend to think that we're going to get everything in order. We're going to have, like, let's say, an amazing website, and we're going to have like all of our foundation done and our branding and all of our ideas together. And then we're going to launch this business and the world's going to be like, great, like come on to the business, right? It does not at all anymore. It used to work that way a little bit more, maybe 20, 30 years ago. But now everything is moving so fast. Ideas are everywhere. Ideas is not what is going to make your business successful. It's all going to be about execution and really understanding. So the best thing you can do, even it's like get the idea of like your big launch out of your head for most businesses. The best thing you can do is start talking to people that you feel like would be potential clients. So if that means you get 15 minutes of their time for $50 gift card, if you reach out to potential clients on LinkedIn and say, hey, I have this idea, I would love to know any feedback you have for me, friends, family, beyond friends and family is better. If you can get people that would actually be potential customers, right?
I absolutely agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. And then I have a whole thing that I tell people, like, everything you should do in the beginning is get your, what I call minimum viable product. Well, that's the industry term, but your minimum viable product. So that means you create a landing page, use Lovable AI. It's a great landing page tool, or there's other ones out there, but you create a landing page. After you've talked to people, you have some ideas on what might work, and then you literally put your idea out there and see what kind of feedback you get. That feedback is what is going to help determine the course of your decisions in your business. It's way more important than what you think the big idea is going to be. How you think it's is usually not how it's going to go.
That is so true. And talking about the friends and family, when I launched CG Financial, which was over 10 years ago, and started doing financial consulting and just basic budgets and things, and typically I work with people who are just starting out. So I saw that in order for you to have a financial advisor, you need to have $500,000 or more, or they don't want to talk to you. And I'm like, well, how does that help all of these people that are just starting out that are making less than 100 grand, or 150 grand? So I started out working with those clients, the ones that were making less than 150, who didn't have so much, disposable cash, and I worked my way around my networking, and they weren't friends and family. I didn't want to work with friends and family. I wanted to build my network of my clients that were going to be my clients. And then once my friends and family saw that that was going, then the friends and family came after.
Yeah,
And so I kind of went backwards. A lot of people do, friends and family first, and I try to discourage that. I
I
try to
agree.
think I do try to discourage that. Did you do the same thing for your business as well?
Oh yeah, no friends, no family to start.
Hmm.
Like I actually I was like anti even working with people that I knew for a long time. Finally changed that after maybe 5 or 6 years, and I felt really comfortable. But you
I
know,
agreed.
it's
Hmm.
just
I had the
culture.
same experience. I
You
didn't
don't
want
want
to work with I didn't want to work with people that I really knew that we were really friendly. Especially, what I do. What I do is finances. I want to know, how much debt do you have outstanding? Do you feel comfortable talking to me about that? Is this going to ruin our friendship? So I really wanted to stay away from that until it was to the point where a friend really needed me, and they're like, Catherine, I am stuck. I am lost. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, we'll work it through. Don't worry about it.
yeah,
Um, and we're still good friends today, so it's good. But it was in the beginning. It was hard.
I agree. I totally respect, especially with your profession. I felt the same way knowing because I had been on the small business side and the sales side before coming into marketing, and I knew how much small businesses struggled. Like most small businesses, like I think the average income of a small business owner in America right now is like 70 grand. Like it
Right.
is not, these are not wealthy people in general. These are people that are
Mhm.
just really doing everything they can to provide a good service or a good product. And, they're middle class basically. So I also, from a marketing perspective, is like, these are the people I want to work with. I know that they are struggling. I do not want to, it's got to be reasonable. They've got to be able to afford it. Like this has to make sense for them. But I also don't want to give stuff free to my friends so that I can't take care of those people or have my friends not see the value. So I waited. I'm glad I did. I know it was a good
Mhm.
move.
Yeah, and it's hard as a business owner to, because you have your price point. You know what you're offering, you know what your value is. This is my price point. I could be a little bit more expensive than some people. I could be a little less expensive some people, but I know the value that I bring. Price is the price. And then when you start getting friends and family like, well, can I? And I'm like, no.
No,
It's kind of like if your friend has a restaurant, don't expect to go to their restaurant and eat for free. They still have overhead. They still have to pay. You know, if they want to give you a discount, if they want to give you a drink on the house or dessert on the house, that's a different story. But you can't just expect your friend who owns a business to do for you for free, because then all small business owners, we would be out of business.
yeah, it doesn't even make sense actually. We should be supporting the people that we want to
Mhm.
support their businesses, and that's how I look at it now. I really try to support
Absolutely.
their businesses. I definitely do not ask for discounts because I know what margins are. Like this is not corporate.
Mhm.
These are
Right.
people that are supporting their families. So
Mhm.
yeah, but I do love helping people in that venue, which is interesting that you went into kind of a similar. We did the same thing where we saw this whole group of businesses that weren't being helped, and
Right.
everybody kept going after like the top in Alaska, the top like corporate oil and like all those type of companies, and we're like we're not even going to touch them. We're not even going to go after them. We're just going to
Mhm.
help like the small medium businesses that people aren't talking to, and it's a great niche.
Mhm. And for me, helping the lower middle income people is really helpful, because at least I can give them the baseline of where to start, and
Yeah,
how to start, and then work with them and watch them grow and say, hey, this is good. This is where we're building. This is where you're going. And then to see them, 3 years down the road, and they've tripled their salary based on my financial coaching and stuff like that. And they're negotiating their salaries and things. And like, that's what I love to see, and my famous tagline is, be invaluable for what you share, not what you know. If I know all the information and I can't share it with you, what good is it? I want to be able to help other people the same way you want to be able to help other people,
yeah.
and I think it's important. Looking at your business and what you do for other small, medium-sized businesses, talk about some digital marketing, digital strategies that are like really happening now. And I know it's very difficult because digital world is constantly changing, AI is constantly changing, technology is constantly changing. So this is definitely something that you need to be on top of all the time.
Yeah,
But what digital strategies are working right now?
that's a great question. So it's a little bit business dependent, but I would say what I've learned over the last 13 years for sure, and even with AI, it's the same thing. It's always the core principles that you go back to. And I think no matter what technique you're using or what tool you're using, I actually see most people fail because they miss the core technique, they miss the core pieces. And so the core pieces are really three things. It's knowing your brand. So being able to clearly identify, can somebody go to your website? Can somebody who maybe is a friend or family, can they describe exactly who you are and who you help? And if they can't do that, then your brand is not clear. So,
Mm-hmm.
people like spend a lot of money on, making things pretty and like clever taglines and like things like that. But like,
Mm-hmm.
just meeting you and talking to you the last couple of times, I know exactly.
Clarity.
Yeah, I know who you are and who you help.
Right.
Like,
It's clarity, and you have to be real clear about your message. And I think a lot of people go into small business and they want to cater to everyone, and you
and
can't cater to everyone. You need to know who your audience is. You need to know who you're reaching, and I think that's so important. I had a former supervisor, and this is a while ago. This is probably 15 years ago, and he said, "Trust the process. The process never fails." And just what you said, you have your core principles. You follow those core principles just over and over and over again, and it's going to help. It's going to be successful because that's the process. If you follow the process is not going to fail. And I think it's just people being wanted to be everything to everyone, and you can't be that.
I think we all intrinsically know that like the fast, bright, shiny object, quick fix for anything doesn't really work, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
dieting, marketing, business. Like we all really know that, but we want something. Like we want that to work, right? We want that to
Right.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
So the core principle of like really understanding who you are, and it's okay if you don't know that in the beginning. Like I said, it's okay if you're testing and you're like, okay, well, I'm not really sure like what market I want to serve. Maybe that's part of your testing and figuring that out. But you need to
Mm-hmm.
like understand that you're testing that. So I'll just give a quick example. When Ada and I
Sure.
expanded nationally, we knew that we had to pick a niche. We knew we cannot just like be two ladies from Alaska who own a marketing company that is going to now compete with every marketing agency in the US, right? So we had to pick a niche. And so we picked the clients that we were the most successful with, that we loved working with, that we knew the most about. So we picked mental health and we picked functional medicine. And when we took those two groups, basically we targeted all of our marketing, all of our case studies, all of our content around those areas. And then we just kept building and building and building. And that is how we built our national strategy. So we built it from that piece. And we took a risk because it feels scary to say we're only going to like really focus on these clients.
Right.
But if you think about it from the client perspective, why would a client hire an agency, or why would a client hire a financial advisor or anybody who doesn't understand them, right? They want
Absolutely.
somebody
Mm-hmm.
who like they've worked with 10, 15, now we've worked with hundreds of people. So of course the things we're learning from that one client in New York applies to the client in Texas, applies to the client in Los Angeles. And so I'm so glad we did that, but it was a scary risk. I do get it. So that's like, figure that part out. Again, you don't have to know it from the beginning, but you do have to figure that out. And then I think the second thing is you have to know your clients, like knowing your clients intimately and what actually drives them to buy. So I'm sure like you've experienced this where, you think that one thing is going to be the catalyst for somebody wanting to talk to you, but it's my guess just from being in marketing would be that probably the catalyst is something significant happens in their life. like something,
Absolutely. It
right? And
is.
so
It
as
is
people,
always. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it, but this happened, and now I need.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So there, and so
Hmm.
we're just that as humans. So when we
Hmm.
put out our service or we put out our business, we think that, well, if this is a great service or business, people will want it. But you have to understand human nature. We don't like change. We're all overwhelmed by so much information. Like, what is actually going to drive us to make a decision to buy? And then the third
Hmm.
thing is, and this is so much more important now with AI, like it is just changing rapidly. The third thing is really what I call social proof. And so the most important thing you can do in your business after you kind of get those two things established is build your social proof. And that means like building a lot of people call it building your brand, but it's building testimonies, it's building case studies, it's building, people that would say that you're legitimate, that you do a good job, all the different ways that you can do that. You can do that through network, you can do that online, but people trust is such, nobody trusts
It's
anything anymore.
yeah. Building trust is huge. Absolutely huge. It's very difficult, and it does take time. And to your point, we all want that instant gratification, but it's consistency, time over time over time, trusting the process, following the process. For your business, it's following those core values, and you just keep
Yeah,
following them, and it's a numbers game. You're going to get 10 clicks, you're going to get 15 clicks, you're going to get 20 clicks. Of the 20 clicks, 10 will make an appointment. Of the 10 that make an appointment, 5 will actually meet with you. The 5 that actually meet with you, 2 will buy. So it's that numbers game. Um, so that's really really important piece. What about business growth? So you start your business 13 years ago, you're going in and it's scary because you have this particular niche market and you're hoping it works out, but now it starts working. Now you're a couple of years in. Tell us about the growth strategy.
yeah, that is such a good question. So just from a personal perspective, so 2024 was our biggest year ever. It was also our hardest year ever. So we grew like 130%, and that is a
Beautiful.
massive growth curve from the year before. And it sounds wonderful, right? It sounds amazing,
Hmm.
kind of growth. Uh,
It's
and it is, and
scary.
I mean, there's good things that come with that, but
Hmm.
one, I mean, I was working more hours. All of us were working more hours than we have in years, right? Just to keep up with that level of growth. You're hiring very quickly. Getting the right people in our industry, and most industries, is a really big deal. In our industry, it's make or break. If we don't have a good person that is actually doing the work, that is like developing a website or doing the ads or doing the social, like we have to have the top people. So that was putting this massive stress on having to hire people quicker than we would like. Also, when things are growing that fast, it's really interesting. When things are moving really, really, really fast, you actually sometimes don't even notice some things that aren't going well because everything is going so fast. So you start
Right.
missing some of the details. You start missing some of the little things that make your company like special and make your clients feel like they're special. You're not trying to cut corners, but it can happen because you're just moving so fast. So our retention ended up being worse last year than it has been in a long time. And when we looked at that, it was like, okay, that is purely because we were moving too fast and growing too fast. So we've slowed down on purpose this year. So as far
Hmm.
as growth strategy, if you really want to grow, I don't necessarily recommend growing at 130% a year. I think most companies
Hmm.
can growth at like 20% or higher. And if that's really the direction you want to go, or even if you do want a 10x like we did, um, that slow down to speed up is what absolutely is the key for that. So it's being able to actually, this is going to feel so counterintuitive. It's like when you're really depressed and you feel terrible and the last thing you want to do is exercise. That is exactly what this is like. Everything is moving
Hmm.
really fast. There's lots of problems, there's lots of things happening. You actually have to step back and take even
Hmm.
longer to work on your strategy. So you have to take longer to step back and analyze, what are these numbers really telling me? And what are the numbers I'm not seeing? Like, what is where's my retention? Just because we're growing just because we're growing month over month over month, are we losing current clients? Are we profitable? Just because you grow does not mean you're profitable. So have we had
because if you're growing too fast, maybe your price point stayed the same, but now you grew so fast, now you hired all these extra people. And it's like, well, wait a second, we grew 130% and my revenue is down 8%. How is that possible? Oh, it's possible. It can happen. And I think it's, exactly what you said. I don't think it's counterintuitive. I think it's a smart business decision to say, okay, this is where we're going and we are moving really fast, but we need somebody who's going to look at the beginning and really look at these numbers and see, where is our revenue going? Are we making a little bit more? Are we making less? Are we losing customers? Where's the retention? What's our repeat rate? All of those things.
Yeah.
Is our customer acquisition cost going up? So.
Well, and it's hard because, like, again, when you're growing, there's like a high that you feel when your business is growing that fast. And
absolutely.
None of us wanted to slow down this year, but we had to. We were just like, okay, like we've lost some pieces of our culture. We've lost some pieces. Everything just feels like it's been on fire for like a year. Like I said, our retention slipped. We had other issues, and it was just like, we need to like actually make sure this is stable. We need to like take a little dry dock for our boat for a little bit, make sure everything's good before we're like going this fast again. And it's been a much better year. I am very grateful.
I think for listeners out there, I think it's really important that they understand that it's not a bad thing when you have to stop and regroup.
Yes.
So it might sound counterintuitive, but it's not a bad thing. It just means that you're being conscientious and that you are noticing the changes in your company. So, and if you can have that accountability and know that about yourself and be able to take a step back and regroup, reanalyze, and restart, I think that's really important, and it's only going to make your business better in the long run, as opposed to you growing so fast for a 2-year period and then burning out and everything shutting down.
Yep. So one of my favorite books, if I could, two books that I want to recommend. So one is Unreasonable Hospitality. I don't know if you've read that one. He's such a brilliant guy. I think he's a marketer at heart, truly, even though he doesn't necessarily present himself that way. But what I loved about this book, there were so many good things about how you connect with people and make them feel special. And the thing that I love about what he brought forward in developing literally the #1 rated restaurant in the world is you never lose that direct connection with the customer. And one thing that happens really fast, especially as a founder, is you can get so excited about this, like big goals and things like that. Ultimately, you're not in business without your customers. And if you lose that connection, if you lose the heart, I think
absolutely
you have to go back to the basics. And that's how he turned his restaurant. I mean, how many experiences have we all had? Like, let's say like there's a new shop in town or a new restaurant or something really great, and they're like such great service in the beginning, and then you can just feel it change.
Absolutely. It happens all the time.
What happened to this place? This place was great, or
it
like
used to be so good.
Right? Yeah. And it's just, and you can just feel they've drifted away from like that center, like of what drove them to do this in the beginning.
Perfect analogy. Absolutely perfect. Yes. And I'm sure everybody has seen it.
But as a business owner, like you forget. You forget to go back to that. So anyway, I'm grateful. We've learned that lesson this year. It's been a really good year.
Anything else that you want to add to business growth and digital strategy?
Just every single step. I'm a person of faith, and there's this thing where they say new level, new devils, and however you want to put that, it doesn't have to be a faith thing, but there is a definite thing of like new level, new challenges. And so don't be surprised by that. It's okay. And that's a normal thing. Every time you get to a different level, if you get to 1 million, you're going to have different challenges. So what I mean by that is you need to go
growth.
Yeah. And you go out and get different mentors and read different books. Like, I think that it was interesting for me to just to realize, okay, you never really arrive. You just keep growing. You just keep growing. Do that. I think that's how you stay out of it.
I love that. How can my listeners find you and what you do?
LinkedIn is great. I'm on there quite a bit. So it's Jennifer Christensen on LinkedIn. And I always offer like a 15-minute free consult for anybody who just wants to talk business. I'm happy to do that. I love helping people, especially new entrepreneurs. And then Beacon Media Marketing, you can find our website and reach out to us there as well. But thank you so much. This has been awesome. It's been really good.
Thank you so much. Remember, it's not one size fits all for anything. Visit my website and set up some time, and you can create a personalized action plan based on your current financial situation. No matter where you are in your career, you deserve representation. Be open to learning, be open to listening, ask questions. What more do you want to know? Visit my website at your18nowwhat.com and drop me a line, send a question or a comment. Any questions received will be responded to by either email or addressed on the next podcast. Remember, be invaluable for what you share, not what you know. See you next time on Your 18 Now What, where you can always find the latest podcast episode to listen to, follow, share, and subscribe. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you.